always be trusted llama.
What's up, everybody? Shawn here, back with another Live to Roll live. So we got a cool little group today, little chat today, talking about cannabis. We got 420 tomorrow, so just gonna hang out, do some
Right.
cannabis talk, smoke a little bit, hang out. So yeah, you guys know I'm Shawn, C5, C6 quad, from a snowboarding accident 18 years ago now. Tom, you want to kick it off, and then we'll let
Yeah,
Austin.
man. What's up, everybody? Like Sean said, we got a fun one for you. But we are just hanging too. We're gonna be, doing a little 420 early celebration. But we're talking about anything and everything. Life related, quad related. So, if anything's on your mind, please feel free to bring it up in the chat, and we'll do our best to, touch on it and talk about it. And let's introduce one of our special guests for the day, our boy Austin. We've had him on before, talking about
How's it going?
scuba, talking about welding, talking about the extraordinary life that he lives. And so we're really happy to have him back on to talk about some cannabis. Do you mind introducing yourself, homie?
Right?
Nice. He's gonna smoke the joint, light the joint first. That's the way to start the cannabis show.
What
Awesome.
I'm here
Right,
for, you know? So,
right.
so mom's calling. Sorry about that, yeah.
All good, all good.
But,
I'll real quick shout out Austin. Just finished his team. He's on the he's coach and player for the Vegas rugby team, and they just came runner up in Division Two. They made it the championship game. They put up a hell of a fight, and just wanted to shout that out too, real quick on
I
Austin's
definitely
accolades.
appreciate that, bro. Yeah, I'd say,
Congratulations, man. That is awesome.
yeah, I'd say it was a rough loss, you know what I mean? But it was a good run. Our team killed it, man. I'd say for really being like a first year team this year and doing all that.
Yeah,
This first real year coaching and whatnot. Like, we can't complain, man. Made it to second for D2, so put some more
Heck
stuff
yeah.
together and see if we can bring it together for next year. So that'd be cool. But,
yeah, no, dude, you guys were looking good, bro. I was watching a lot of those games, trying to watch what I could, and yeah, you guys look good for sure.
Now, I have a
Solid.
question. Where do you watch games like that?
what was that?
For nationals, they actually did stream it on the USWRA, which is the U.S. Wheelchair Rugby Association, has a
Okay.
YouTube channel, and they actually stream the games on their YouTube channel. Not all of them. They had a specific court that they basically did. So if you were
Yeah.
lucky enough, but they played a couple of the Vegas games on there. So
Yep.
I'm
And then
gonna have
those
to.
two are
I'll,
still.
I'll have to share that. I'll have to share that better on our channel next time. That's my bad.
But those games are actually still up on the site too. So,
Yeah, the game. So same
okay.
like our channel. The lives
Yeah.
are still up there. You can go back and watch any. You can watch the championship game or any of the other games running up to there too. So
Yep.
For
So,
sure, for sure. Yo, what up, my boy Kakashi, my boy Tony in the building, saying what up, Quad Life.
yeah, what's up,
Thank
guys?
you for everyone in the chat, chiming in. Appreciate you guys. Don't
T
mind,
Fizzle. That means
don't
that's
mind
got to
my
be one of
gamer
your
tag.
gamer homies, huh? Is that?
Yeah, he's my boy. Just from Northridge and CSUN and stuff. But yeah, dude, we definitely game together, and that's my gamer tag. That's what all my homies call me though, T Fizzle. I don't know. We all just have little nicknames for us. But it's all
Oh yeah,
good.
man.
It's all
I feel like
good.
I got
So
to hit my pen since.
dude, I know. I was just about to spark up my J man, but I just dropped my lighter, so I'm gonna have to take a second to get this up real quick. But we're live, baby. This is the quad
right.
demonstration. We're
Yeah,
doing
so
it.
you just gotta show them how
Sometimes
it's done, bro.
it's easier
Right.
to get the lighter before you smoke versus after you already killed the J. So it's all
Right.
good. So Austin, talk to us a little bit. What's been your experience with cannabis? Um, do you like to talk about the medicinal effects of it? I would be lying if I didn't say that. Like I didn't use it like, recreationally too, to a certain extent.
Yeah.
But without cannabis, at least I know personally, I'll be on the struggle bus in terms of handling my pain and maybe
Oh,
getting
yeah.
some more
Dude.
effective sleep. But what's been your experience with that?
Yeah. So I have a lot of experience with cannabis in general, just because it's been a lot of my life in general, I would say. But it's got me off like a ton of meds and whatnot, just because it's kind of just filled the role of pain meds and spasticity meds and stuff like
Hmm.
that just made my life easier. Like the negative effects of like cannabis, like what people would some call negative effects, like get like somewhat tired or whatever from all that. But like as far as in comparison to like the drugs that I did take by like getting prescribed and taking, like the side effects are very minimal in comparison to what I was having for side effects. So, and then say just
Yeah.
honestly, I feel like they work better. Like over the long period here, I feel like it's kept working. Where like I feel like the meds from that I was like prescribed were like would slowly like get less and less, and then they have to prescribe more, and then they'd start working less and less and get prescribed more, and so I feel like I've gotten out of that loophole some, so that's pretty cool. And then just I don't know, it's just good on the physiological side. Like it's great, like helps, like I said, spasticity and stuff, but then just mentally, like you know what I mean. Like this
Yeah.
can be a taxing life that we live. You know what I mean? Like it's one thing that I've learned more than probably anything over the last 16 years I've been hurt is patience, and still not the greatest or most patient person in the world, but like it's something that you have to have being in a chair. Like everything we do takes that extra little bit of work. So
Yep.
it's helped, honestly, probably that's been one of the big things is like mentally, like it just keeps my cool, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So that's
Absolutely, man.
a huge part for
No,
sure.
dude. Agree for sure.
I mean, you can ask
I
my wife; she knows. I'm a can get a little grumpy when I'm not having my cannabis and smoking, or if we're in, you know what I mean, places where you can't, or in different states, or out of the country, or whatever. Like, I mean, life is definitely more difficult. So,
yeah.
But part of that is too, because like for me at least, my spasticity's building, dude. My nerve, my
yeah,
body's hurting more. Everything's just like so. Yeah, I'm more irritable. I'm more grumpy. I'm not gonna sleep as well. So
oh yeah,
all those things are gonna factor into the fact that I'm in a worse mood when I'm not
yeah,
smoking. Not able to have
right,
cannabis. So
yeah, exactly. And I feel like there's a misconception of people just thinking you're grumpy in the terms of just like, damn, I wish I could be smoking. You know what I mean, or whatever. But it's like it's not that. Like the grumpiness is coming because of like the side effects, like what you just said. Like I'm super spastic and just hurt, and I don't feel well. I want to tired because I haven't been sleeping because I've been spastic all night, and you know what I mean. So for sure,
ex-
And
exactly.
there's an indescribable kind of discomfort that comes from nerve pain,
oh
and
yeah,
any longer term injury person will tell you. I mean, sometimes like I don't even know there's something wrong with my body until like I take a hit of weed and it goes away, and I'm like, oh my god, like that's why I was feeling like shit for the last 5 hours, you know.
right,
And
oh yeah,
it could be, like we got a comment in the chat. It says, "How well does it help with spasms?" What up, about Peter? Thanks for being here, man. And he says the VA really frowns on it. They don't say anything about drinking. Smoking is a big no-no. In my experience, from every quadriplegic and paraplegic that I've spoken to, cannabis is one of the most effective treatments for spasticity out there, period. Whether it
yeah,
be edible, smoking, or otherwise.
yeah,
And I'm talking even, to a certain extent, CBD. If they're trying to avoid, the psychoactive element of cannabis, which is THC, the tetrahydrochlorides, which
yeah,
is, a lot of the reasons a lot of people smoke weed, but there's a full spectrum of cannabidiols,
yeah,
like the mnemonics just CBD. But those also benefit your body. They're one of the things that help cancer patients by stimulating, hunger. That by limiting the pain, nerve response, by limiting, the spasticity, whatever it is. But there is a full spectrum of elements that are affecting your body and benefiting you outside of the THC. Now, if you're really serious about doing it and want to be transparent with the VA, I don't even know if that's a possibility in your area. To be
I don't know
honest,
if
like you're
that.
gonna have to judge that one yourself. That could be a direction to approach it from, being like, this is scientifically studied. It's medically studied. It's understood that CBD, this full spectrum of cannabidiols, can benefit me, and I can get it without the THC too. Like if that's the issue with it is the, psychoactive effect of it. But it's hard to say, man. There is a certain taboo and prejudice surrounding cannabis as well, and that can be difficult to handle and, balance, especially depending on your area.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely one of those things. It's hard to walk the fine line in that world. I mean, like, because I grew up in a military family, so you know what I mean. I understand all of the stuff and understand the struggles with anything concerning the VA or anything concerning any of that. It's I mean, like, it's a detriment to us, like as a whole. I feel like if it was just studied and progress was made, we would be
But
leaps and bounds with this stuff. But let's go, boss.
what up,
Yeah, we got
Kyle?
Kyle
We
joining
got
What's up,
us.
guys?
the last minute addition to the crew. Thank you for joining us, man.
Of course.
We're just
Can you
talking a
guys
little
hear me?
cannabis, brother. How are you, dude? Happy early 420.
Happy early 420. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah, we
You're a
can hear
little
you okay.
echoey, man, but
All right. Hopefully that fixed after a little bit.
Yeah, sometimes it can just be the connection. But sorry, Austin, what were you saying, bro?
yeah. Sorry, I didn't interrupt you, buddy. I had just
Oh no, you're good, bro. So help me coming in. I was just saying that it's just one of those things. It's like I hope that like things will change in the coming future, but like what my man's situation is like there's a lot of people in that same situation, and that's like a hard thing, man. It's hard to give you like the right answer. You know what I mean? You kind of have to play that as you feel best for you and your situation and what you're willing to risk, not risk, and all of that. But yeah, say like it helps a ton with spasticity. You're saying that like how you were talking about there's different cannabinoids throughout cannabis, like, and they work together in a whole. Like, then it's not just all the cannabinoids in there. Like, there's a lot of different things in there that all work together. So, like, doing things like in whole plant and like in like full spectrum senses, like, is honestly where you're gonna find your most benefits, in my opinion, from like using cannabis. Like, the little like THC vape pens are cool, and like all the broke down like just solely CBD can help and all that stuff. But like at the end of the day, like all of it working together in combination is where you're gonna find like your best benefits. Like in my personal opinion, but
100% agree as well. Like the psychoactive element of THC, I don't know, I hate that it's like considered more taboo than alcohol in most places because it is so much easier to control like the level of THC that you consume than it is with alcohol. Like there isn't like this drive to continue to smoke, generally
yeah,
like there is to continue to drink and get smashed and stuff. And also like the um psychoactive element isn't as inebriating as alcohol, meaning like you're not out of your mind, you're not, completely, like irrational and,
yeah,
doing unsafe things and stuff. If
right,
anything, you're generally a little bit too paranoid to, maybe put
yeah.
yourself in a situation that would otherwise go
right.
into. Um, but speaking to some professionals, and so a little update in the comments. He lives in Southern Illinois, which it is legal there, which is awesome. And he says he's hitting a dispensary next month, and that's the best way to do it, man. Speak to some individuals that they're generally very, very educated, and get a, start slow, don't overdo it. That's the best word of advice. Like ease into it, just start with really, really low dose of whatever it is. Um, you know. Uh, a less intense strain. And again, whoever is helping you out at the dispensary should probably have that knowledge, help guide you in
And
the
I was
right
gonna say,
way.
usually the people at the dispensaries are pretty knowledgeable. Like, and a lot of that stuff, like if you get too high or you're feeling it too much, like you can counteract it with CBD and stuff like that. Like if you take extra CBDs and stuff. I've been watching some
Also,
cooking with cannabis shows lately, and they're showing different things on like how they do the different courses and stuff, and like leveling people off.
right.
So yeah, I just was. That's
But
another thing with
also,
cannabis.
like,
You really can't control it.
I was born against people. Like, there's like this misconception that people should start with doing edibles. I feel like,
That's
and, like, there is like edibles are great. I'm not like at all have anything wrong with edibles. I'm just saying that there's a vast varying difference of how they affect people, and there's a lot that has to do with like how your metabolism works and like how much you've eaten and a whole lot of variables that go into it. That how much I would take in milligrams for an edible as compared to somebody else is vastly different, and how your body absorbs and takes in THC is much different in eating an edible than smoking it. And like I will warn that like doing edibles, like that's where I find people have like the bad trip or whatever. Like always, like that's where you hear like the terrible stories from. Like so,
Yeah.
beware. Don't be like, oh well, it's edibles. It's like some food. This should be like the lesser of the evils. Or like I'm not smoking it or whatever. And like that will send you down a bad alley if you're not like things go wrong. You know what I mean? Like you said, start slow and build from there. But like too much
Well,
of it, I think.
you just said it. Too much of anything, can be bad, and that's where the one of my mantras like moderation is key.
Yeah,
And that's for anything in life. Whether it's food or drink or exercise or crazy sports. Whatever it is.
yeah,
Gambling, like we all have to understand. You get carried away doing anything. Um, Having that self awareness, having that understanding, and then being able to approach it, in a way where you just moderate what you do, and have a measured amount, like aren't doing it too much, because I think it can be abused, like in personally, I think you
well,
can
like what I
speak
was saying, you
freely.
could see it in the comments, pop it up right there. Like one dude, like edibles don't do anything to me, and the next dude was like, "They help me sleep." The next dude's like,
yeah,
"Edibles scare me." Like that's exactly what I'm talking about with edibles.
yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
scary world of edibles. So like, I feel like people have a more consistent time if you were to just smoke, like take two hits off a joint and chill back and see how that treats you, like, and go from there. Like, it's a much more consistent, like, this is where you're probably going to be at than like what we just went through right there. It's all the comments popping up of just like, that's exactly the difference of edibles. I could give all five people the same amount, and they're all going to have a different experience. And that's the part where I'm like, just need to watch yourself with the edible game. So,
Well,
No, that's good
luckily,
advice.
luckily, through these dispensaries, they've kind of got the edibles down to a science with the different milligrams. So for me, it took me a while to figure out how much I should take so I'm still functional throughout the day, but it still
yeah,
helped me out with my pain or soreness. Because if I smoke early, my blood pressure is messed up for a couple hours. It's not even worth it for me. So what I
yeah,
have to do is take a low dose milligram edible, and then I dose myself a couple times throughout the day so that lasts. And
yeah.
then once it gets later in the day, then I can start smoking. Because if I want to go on like a hand cycle ride or a rugby push, I'm not smoking before then because it's going to be miserable. So I have to take a low dose of edible so I'm still functional.
Yeah. Oh, I'm 100% with it. Yeah, like I said, I'm 100% with edibles. No way am I like against
Oh
edibles.
no, yeah.
Say I rock with. It's just like that's my thing. Is like my wife per se will take a 5 milligram edible, and you're gonna have to help her to bed later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where like me on the other end, like you could give me 150 milligrams and I might not even feel it. So like, you know what I mean? So it's like we're just
Oh man, that would put me out.
it can get out of hand. So
So I, on average, like pretty much every night, I do about a 50 milligram edible before I go to bed.
yeah,
So that's like my nighttime, like that's just my, whatever. And I usually only do the edibles at night unless I'm out during the day a lot and gonna be somewhere where I can't smoke and can't, like can't take little hits or anything. Then I'll do like a smaller edible or whatever. I won't do like the whole 50. I'll do like a 20 or 30 or something like that for the day.
And what kind do you buy? Do you buy the individual dose or like a brownie or?
I have gummies, and they're individually dosed gummies. So every gummy is like each ring is 50, and then each little stick is 30. So I have like I can either cut them in half, I can whatever, but they're all pretty close. Like they're pretty spot on those doses for each one.
Yeah,
I
I'll buy
generally
those. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, you're good. I was gonna say I generally don't like edibles. It's just not my preferred way to consume cannabis. Because it, like what Austin said, it seems to be a little erratic for me. Like sometimes I've taken lower dose stuff that's really messed me up, and sometimes I've taken some higher dose stuff that hasn't really affected me at all. And like sometimes I've also had experiences where I've taken too much of a high dose, and like it has not made me feel good. I get paranoid and have like a terrible high that lasts way longer than I want it to. Like when I smoke, like I can be sober and doing my thing in like 45 minutes. If I stop smoking, an hour. Like worst case scenario, I might need a cup of coffee and a little snack, to keep me peppy. But like otherwise, I'm pretty good. And like that effect is just it's a lot easier for me to control. My high, the amount of cannabis that I consume. Um,
Right.
but I do edibles sometimes. The Papa Conaway, oatmeal raisin chocolate chip, special. Like,
Oh, I want to try one of
like
those.
I've done like some homemade stuff.
Right.
That's been good, and like I really like enjoyed the feeling of it. But and I do like that the dispensaries, Kyle said it. They have the science down. The low dose 5 milligram edibles, like they have some really cool, good, organic, awesome stuff. So I'm not knocking it at all, but there's also some stuff out there that is made to mess you up and made to really hit you and made for some people that like want to get really really high, and that can be scary for those that are unfamiliar.
yeah,
Yeah.
I used to be a manager at a dispensary in Phoenix. And so I went through this period where I was trying to like find my dosage of edibles. And so like they're so inconsistent with me. So I started out like 100 milligrams and like tried it out. And then I tried 150 and then 250. And then so there's a company down there that makes like a 500 milligram like brownie edible. And I did 250 milligrams the day before, and it didn't even like phase me. So I was like, same company, just a different like item that they make that was 250 milligrams. So next day, I had this 500 milligram edible, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna eat this. So I was getting ready for work. It's like 6:45 in the morning, and I smashed this 500 milligram edible down, and I take off and drive to work. Like work was like an hour away. Like, because I lived like on opposite sides of Phoenix from where I worked at. Like 3/4 of the way to work, I was like, man, like I'm trying to feel this edible. Like I can feel this one. By the time I pulled up to work, I was sitting in the parking lot and I literally called my wife and I was like, I don't know if I can go to work today. Like I am so high right now. I'm sitting in the parking lot like I don't think I've ever been this high in my life. I got out and I went inside and I went in. My other manager that worked with me, I went in and closed the door to her office and I was like, hey, Elisa, like you're gonna have to pretty much handle everything today. I'm just gonna be here like in person. But I ate that 500 milligram edible this morning and I have never been this high in my life. And so that whole day I was like damn near scared of my own shadow just walking around in the shop until I finally went home in the afternoon. That's what I say. That was like my last real go around with edibles. Was like I went from like 250. I didn't even like feel it yesterday to like this. Like oh well, let's try 500, and then it just never I have been anywhere close to that high with
That's
anything
crazy.
related in my life. So is it
I
they're
I
very
just
inconsistent, but it's not because the quality of the product. It's not like, oh, this one might add more or less. It has strictly to do with like part of it is with us having spinal cord injuries. Our stomachs don't digest as fast or as normal as the normal person that just has a normal working digestive system. You know what I mean? So one day my stomach might be just not doing anything, and the next day it's gonna just kill it and smash it and digest
That's
and metabolize all that. That's exactly,
that's
I
a,
think, what happened, and it
I was
got
gonna say maybe that like 250 was still in there, just chilling, like, and then like your body started to
they
hit
all
that
came
one.
together.
now for anybody out there, 250 milligrams, 500 milligrams, that is
It's a high
A lot.
dose, yeah.
extremely high dose. If you're talking anybody out there starting taking edibles, 5 milligrams is where you want to start.
Yeah.
5 milligrams, just 5,
That's
maybe
like the
10.
base dose. Yeah,
But
that's
yeah,
it.
that's like
Yeah.
base dose.
Higher
The
than
thing
five, you
about
just popped up. Do not take it all what I was taking. That was like that. That was a. You do not want to be where I was at. Start low, like we're talking like 5, 10, 15, 20 on a high end, like is for most people. Like my stomach just doesn't digest that fast. Like, I could eat 100 milligrams right now and it will not phase me, but that has nothing to do with the strength of the cannabis. It has strictly to do with my body's metabolism and how it breaks that down, and it just does it over too long of a period. So
It's funny, it
now
kind of does different things with us. So when you guys smoke, does it lower your guys' blood pressure at all?
big time.
Yes.
yeah, I can.
Depending on that, what I smoke and
So just
what I like.
even a stizzy pen.
So what I
Yeah,
found a lot
for
of the
sure.
time is that if you eat, like how you say in the mornings, like if I were to hop out of bed and like not have anything that's like anything food related, then yeah, I'd have like knocked my blood pressure down. If I eat and then smoke, like generally it doesn't like knock my blood pressure down too much.
Yeah, even on like a full stomach, and I've had a ton of water.
Yeah,
For some reason,
still
when
gets
I
you high.
smoke earlier in the day, it messes my
Yeah.
blood pressure. So that's why I settle with the edibles until later at night.
Nice. And I think that's partly
I
just
love
has
to
to do
smoke.
with what's that?
I was sorry, I was say I'd love to smoke throughout the day. It'd probably be even cheaper than edibles, but yeah, I just
Yo, I feel you, man. I think part of that has to do with just all of our blood pressures in general too. I mean, like that ranges from each one of us too, depending on your spinal cord injury and whatnot. Because I know I have buddies that have way less or way more blood pressure problems than I do, and buddies that have way less blood pressure problems than I do. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I'm one of the quads that's always like you see me doing my leans like this and shit. That's
Yeah.
like that's blood pressure, bro. That's me like if I because me moving around keeps my blood pressure up. It keeps me,
Yeah.
like. But I don't take any medications for it. I don't have a binder. I don't do any of that stuff. Like, but smoking for sure lowers it. And then, like you're saying, like if I smoke when I'm kind of hungry, like weakish a little bit, oh, it's gonna really affect me. Like I'm gonna
Oh,
get
yeah.
extremely low. So
Yeah.
like if I smoke after I've already eaten whatever and I have more energy, like whatever, like then it's typically not as bad. You're right, but
Yeah.
it all affects you like crazy.
Well, dude, even
Um,
eating sometimes lowers my blood pressure.
well,
Right?
that's
I
I
feel
learned
you,
that.
bro.
I learned that actually when we eat, you get your blood is like going to your organs to digest. So that's
Yeah.
what ends up happening is you're diverting blood. So you're ending up you are like we already are kind of like have poor circulation, low blood pressure, kind of as quads. So like just any little effect like that, like messes
I'll
with us.
text you the name of it, dude. It's like a really long name, but there's actually a name for the effect of low blood pressure after eating. Like it's a real phenomenon. Like it's a scientifically studied thing, and it happens to every like C7 quad and up that I know. It's like we'll get halfway into the meal and then just like almost want to like pass out over the plate. I'm like, oh my god! I'm like, gotta like back up from the table, tilt my chair back, like try to get my circulation going, get my blood pressure up. But
Yeah,
I feel it, man.
Sometimes I feel like that has to do with the fact that we're like, it's like work for us to eat sometimes. Like, say
It
you got
is
like a
sometimes.
steak in front of you or something like that. Like, you about to put in some real work right now to get that, to eat that steak is gonna be like, it's not gonna be easy. You feel what I'm saying? I feel like sometimes
yeah,
that's
I'm
part of
about
my
to-
problem. Because I'm like
I'm
halfway
about
through,
to
like,
eat
this
that
has
steak
been
like
hard to
an
eat this food.
Hey, man,
Everything we do is like work, bro. It's like
Yeah.
like anything you do in life is a little extra work. It's not like.
A couple weeks ago, I spent 2.5 hours making one taco live on this flipping
That's
show.
true, dude. We did a live cooking show on here, bro, and it was a 2.5 hour live show because Tom started getting down a little weak and stuff, trying to get that. It was, bro. It was rough.
I was low trying to cook. I was like, oh man, this is worst case scenario. But hey, I mean, it's literally reality because like sometimes that's how it is. I was
Yeah.
obviously doing a lot more because I was like talking and trying to like demonstrate and like hopefully provide some meaningful information to some people. But it it is work, man. That's what I talk about a lot too. Is like, our ADLs, our activities of daily living. Like this might be like TMI, but like this morning, I got up, did my care, had my caregivers, whatever. Right, 10 minutes after my caregiver left, had a fucking accident.
Yeah.
No backup caregivers available. They're all working, doing their other things, whatever. Right, and it's like now I'm faced with like I know I can handle my care, clean everything up, get myself dressed again, whatever. But I know after 2.5 hours of fucking working and doing that shit, like I'll be hurting, man. I'll be tired. Like I'm not only gonna be in pain from pulling and yanking on my shorts and doing all that shit because like my wrists are gonna be just like angry at me, but like I'm gonna be freaking tired from that 2 hour little workout that I got to do, putting that shit in, and it's not something that is really considered or understood by a lot of people. And that is an extreme example, but shit, man, you want to make yourself breakfast, cook up, fry yourself an egg, like it's a lot of fucking work to do a real
That's
simple
gonna be the
thing.
best damn tasting egg ever.
It is,
That's
it is, but
it does make
and,
that
you
shit
know,
worth
and,
it.
and I would argue
Best taco
that
ever.
sometimes like the work is worth it, the effort is worth it, and
Yeah.
it is good, it feels good, and it even feels good to do it. Like these guns ain't coming from nothing. Like I got to put in some work somewhere. If I'm not in the gym, like I got to be here doing my independent stuff, like working my body and making myself strong. But finding that balance, it's all about a balance. I would argue that doing it all on your own 7 days a week, 365 is not feasible or rational for someone in your situation, and that's where you got to find the balance and figure it out, and it's tough, but
Yeah.
it's something we all got to do.
I know Austin has to go in about 10 minutes because he's got an appointment. Actually, he's gonna have to go a little bit before 4:20. But real quick, before the show,
You can hold out to 420 for the 420 show.
Okay.
All right, man.
Do a quick. That's it. I got my bong here ready and stuff. I'm gonna take a hit.
Everybody
I'm doing
that
the
knows
stizzy,
me
but
knows I'll be a little bit late to everything I'm doing, so it's all good.
we'll let you go right after the 420. But if you want, bro, real quick, I don't know if you want to mention it all. A little slightly off subject, but Austin mentioned he has been experimenting with microdosing mushrooms lately. So that's like another. I guess not exactly acceptable, thing for medical stuff, but it's something that's been widely used and being experimented. I've actually another quad that's been told me the same. So
It's being
before you
medically
go,
studied, like even though like federally, like there's been a lot of sanctions lifted in a lot of states to allow them to study this medically because there's a lot of science behind the medicinal effect of low dose psilocybin, even high dose psilocybin. But Austin was talking to us about microdosing, and that's, if anybody isn't aware of what that is, it's just taking a very measured, small amount of the substance rather than generally how it's recreationally used is you take like a gram or two or three of mushrooms and trip out and have like really crazy hallucinations and like a really intense high. Microdosing, you're not looking for that really intense high. You're looking hopefully for, some uh, noticeable effect. In this instance, it's hoping to benefit and limit the intensity of nerve pain. Am I right?
Yeah, so I've been started microdosing with do like anywhere from like zero point 0.1 to zero point 0.2 grams like nightly. And so the theory basically behind it, so there is research going on with like psilocybin and mushrooms and all of that. And the one thing is a lot of the research is like aimed towards like depression and like more issues like that. And which is great. Like I'm super hyped for using any research is good research. But so the same kind of theory with nerve pain is that like psilocybin, like basically the reason that you trip if you take a whole bunch of psilocybin and whatnot is like that you're like creating neural pathways in your brain. So like your brain's basically putting two things together that it normally wouldn't put together, which makes you like think in a different way, basically. You know what I mean? It's how you're what's happening whenever you're tripping on psilocybin. But in the same theory, low dose psilocybin all the time, if you're still creating neural pathways in your brain constantly, that's basically what they're trying to counteract is that like at some point or another, like that nerve connection between your brain and your body will come back somewhat together. Not necessarily like it's going to get you function back, but in the ways of like nerve pain is mainly just in the ways that your muscles and your body and your nerves and your spasms and all that shit, they don't have a connection with the brain, and the loss of connection between the two is what's building what you're doing. So, the thought behind microdosing is you're trying to build neural pathways that'll eventually connect somehow, some way in your brain to make your brain basically just settle down and be like, hey, like those nerves don't hurt. We're chilling. You know what I mean? So
Now the other way that I kind of think about it too is it's almost like muscle memory. Now
yeah,
our issue is like the signals from our brain don't make it to the nerves like
yeah,
past a certain point, and they don't ever get the exercise, meaning like they don't
yeah,
ever get the stimuli that
yeah,
makes them function normally.
yeah,
Now there are things you can do, and things you can take even outside of psilocybin. We've talked about some drugs to help promote central nervous system activity around damaged areas of your spinal cord and stuff. But that's essentially what the theory is with the psilocybin is low dose. Psilocybin can create central nervous stimulation, and it can cause it that stimuli can affect the nerves that maybe haven't been stimulated in a long time, and that regular stimuli can lead to regular function. It's kind of like exercising a muscle slowly over time. The more you use it, the stronger it
right,
gets. The better it gets at what you want it to do.
yeah,
That now it's still not a theory. It's not understood, but
right,
that's also why it's being widely studied for the treating depression. They,
right,
theorize that we develop neural pathways in our brain. If we are depressed for long periods of time, those neural pathways are kind of designed in a certain way that leads us to generally feeling that regular way,
right,
which in that instance is depression. Now, they're theorizing that psilocybin can help forge different neural pathways, help
yeah,
you easier access, maybe some different moods, the different
right,
brain chemistry, the different, brain stimuli to help you feel different and, hopefully avoid the negative, stuff. But it's really interesting. It's amazing science. It's amazing stuff. And it's actually stuff that's been used for thousands of years. I mean, we're
right,
talking back to, like ancient civilizations use this stuff medicinally for similar things that we're talking about here. It's just it's been taboo and,
Right.
not allowed to be studied, with the technology we have now at hand, which is really a shame.
I've been in the chair in the game here for a while now, like 16 years. So, like, you know what I mean? Like, I've been through the gamut of nerve pain medicine and all that, and they all fuck me up one way or another, and they don't work well, or they just bit on it forever and they didn't work. And it's like, I'm not taking shit that don't work, and just all that whatnot. And end of the day, like, for me, like, I'm willing to try whatever, you know what I mean? Not necessarily whatever, but like trying to get the nerve pain to be gone. So, like, to me, like, microdosing mushrooms is like no different or any crazier than putting me on 500 milligrams of gabapentin every day or whatever to fucking try and get rid of it or whatever. Like, at least I know mushrooms just grow in the ground over here and whatnot. I have somewhat more understanding what they're going on. You know what I mean? I don't see like a huge more risk in it doing that than like taking whatever random drug I can't even pronounce when I go to the hospital. So
I'm very
I
lucky
give
in
it,
that my
I give it
mom really promoted like homeopathic treatments
yeah,
like a lot, throughout my adolescence.
yeah,
Just like natural herbs, natural, supplements to
right,
help, promote healthy healing. And there's something to that in that, we've been evolving, lots like our previous generations have been using a lot of the medicines was now, that have been pressed into a pill. They've been using them in a homeopathic way for generations, for long, long, long periods of time. It's only, recently that we've, developed pill forms of things and, different mechanisms of utilizing them. Now, I think that can be a great benefit to some people in certain situations, but, also our bodies are kind of maybe more used to a traditional like homeopathic remedy or, like a different way of, receiving that medicine than, taking the pill, taking the generic, lab created form rather than the one that's derived naturally and organically from, something that's grown and it's been utilized that way for all of history, rather than, made in a lab and we've been just trying them out for the last 10, 20, 30, 40 years, and maybe don't fully understand the difference in the two. Um, that is my rationale. I realize that might kind of sound hippity dippity, and it may very well be. I am not against modern medicine. I, take my leaves sometimes, my gel form or
oh
whatever
yeah,
that helps
yeah,
with my,
fully with modern
nerve
medicine.
pain and stuff. Like, but it's just what Austin was saying. Gabapentin or baclofen mess me up. They make me drowsy. They, like really give my body a hard time. Like if I can use cannabis, um, and have less intensive side effects of, drowsiness and, like better handle the cannabis, then, obviously I'm going to choose the lesser of the two. Um, but again, that's just my personal opinion, and everyone has to form that opinion on their own, based on their personal experience. And, this stuff affects everybody differently too. So taking that into consideration and understanding that is also very important because, what might work for all of us may not work for, another individual out there. And, understanding that is important.
Well, I mean, like the
definitely.
difference too. Like Tom said, he can't go work out before smoking and stuff. Like where it's like just it doesn't affect me in the same way. Like I have to leave here in a minute to go because I have to go to the gym to go work out. It's where I have to go. I have a CrossFit appointment like at the CrossFit gym. So like it doesn't affect me the same. It's almost like counter to what you say. Like if I were to go there and not have smoked or done like it's just because edibles. Like I know you don't do edibles, but like me not smoking, I'd go and I'd be so spastic and stuff. Like my feet wouldn't want to stay on my foot plate the whole time, and like you know what I mean. Like it almost like I guess like I do have that somewhat the counters of being a little bit high, but the benefits are is like that like yeah, my feet are gonna stay on my foot plate right now, and like I'm not gonna be like trying to do a backflip out of my chair every time I pick up a heavy weight and whatnot. You know what I mean, like that or anything. So it's like, but I feel what you're saying. So it's just that everything affects everybody differently. So like you were saying,
Yeah,
Todd,
see,
just
I
it's
I'm
very
more
important.
like Kyle like that, where it's hard for me to really get a good workout if I've smoked or whatever. Usually I'll wait
Yeah.
till after,
Yeah.
but it's just if I'm kind
So
of high.
let me
But
explain. So I make sure that the edibles are hitting me
Yeah.
before my workout. So
Yeah.
I still want that whole feeling, but I think it's the thing where if I take an inhale of a joint or a pen,
Yeah.
me holding that in affected my blood pressure.
Feel you.
So I still want the edible to hit me before I go out, but you know, I
Yeah.
think it's
Yeah.
something hard.
I get it.
Like you said, that we all just like kind of like it's cool that we all kind of like just find your way. You know what I mean? You just experiment until you're like, all right, X, Y, and Z work for me, and that's what I'm going with. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
that's dope, man.
I feel like especially after your injury, like you really got to experiment with stuff. Whether like, I mean, even
Yeah.
if cannabis and stuff isn't your thing, like you like don't just stick with all the drugs on all the doses that they give you right out of the hospital. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like you can start to play with like getting off of some of that stuff and maybe changing things and you know, yeah, I don't know,
It's
dude.
like,
Just
like John said, it
figure it
doesn't have to
out.
all be drugs. There's so many other options out there, things to do. Like you just have to figure out how things work and how your life works and how your body works and all of that stuff. Like this just happens to be the cannabis show, so we're talking about doing drugs a lot and smoking cannabis and all of that stuff. But like in general, yeah, I say like you just have to experiment in general, being a spinal cord injury or having a disability. Like whatever works for all three of you, like probably doesn't necessarily work for me when we're doing the same things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Well, I have noticed a ton of crossover when I talk to paras and quads who use cannabis, and they all say it helps benefit them in
yeah,
a lot of the same ways. It helps alleviate spasticity, nerve pain, and then mental stress and anxiety are very often associated with our disability, or like
Somebody
frustration.
actually asked in the
You
chat
know,
earlier that if we use it for mental health as well, and I meant to pull that up, and I will in a second, but I have my bong ready to hit.
it's just 419 sounds ready.
yeah, it's
Now,
for
I
it's for
think if you are a super depressed person, I don't recommend smoking weed.
Yeah, no, I
That's just
say.
that's just what I
Well, it's
think.
just like anything. If you truly are suffering from depression, like there's probably not any one drug or thing that's going to help you, but
Yeah,
lots of different factors, including like talking to a therapist, finding some support system to help support you, and then maybe that in conjunction with medication or something like cannabis, could help. But it's one of those things like, got to be realistic with this stuff. Like it's not a cure all for anything. But I do believe that cannabis can be definitely beneficial. Now it's
You
420, everybody. Happy 420. I can't tell you why
yeah.
it's the holiday. It's the everybody spark up on 420, but hey, we're doing it. So if you got it out there, spark it up with us, huh? And happy
and by the
420,
way, I want
everybody.
to say
Happy
happy 420,
Tuesday.
and you guys are my therapist.
Right.
We appreciate you, Kyle. Same, man.
Hey man, well I appreciate you having me on, man. I'll have to come back on sometime soon, Shawn. Kyle, man. I really wish I didn't have to dip, but I gotta get the workout
No,
in,
for
man.
sure,
Yeah,
man.
Say,
get that
Hey,
workout
I
in,
Austin,
man.
wanted to
I want
bail,
to
but
talk to
like
you.
I was gonna push it out, but then I have a meeting, so we're starting a new nonprofit here in Vegas, so maybe we'll have to jump on here and run down with you guys on that. So I have a meeting at
Dude,
like 6:30 with that. So I just have a busy schedule through the night, but say man, but I'll definitely have to jump back on with you guys and we'll have
Yeah,
to
in
look
Austin,
it
me and
up.
Sin City got some business to do. So,
Heck
I'm
yeah.
be coming and seeing you, man. I want to
Holler,
come
man.
visit. I want to come visit the crib.
Heck
My
yeah.
mom and dad are talking about hitting up a reggae festival maybe at the
Heck
beginning
yeah.
of August. We got
Yeah.
Houston and
oh,
stuff,
that'd be
but
dope.
in October too, we're definitely going to be coming through. So for sure, link up, man.
Hey man, you guys,
Because
you're all welcome here whenever, man. All you got to do is hit my line and we'll figure it out, man. I got a spare room right here.
heck yeah, bro. I like it. I'm
Hey,
about
Austin,
it.
I want to
You're
find
the
out
man, Austin.
more about the microdosing. I'll have to talk to you later.
Heck yeah, man. To say, if you don't have my info yet, get it from Shawn or whoever is in it. They got it.
I'll
Cool.
send you his number for sure. Yeah.
I got your. I'll hit you up.
Heck yeah, man. Hey,
Alright.
easy
Later.
guys. I appreciate you guys, man.
For sure.
Appreciate
Later,
you, man.
brother. Thanks, man.
Yeah, enjoy that workout, bro. Have a good one.
Go there. Peace.
All right. Let me
Um,
give me just a second to re-switch this up here.
Now, I do want to mention with the whole mushroom thing. The reason why he microdoses is because taking regular dose mushrooms for a quadriplegic or a paraplegic can cause really, really intense increased spasticity. Um, this is all alleged for any institutions out there that may disagree with the legality of psilocybin. But my one experience with mushrooms was 12 hours of the most intense muscle spasms of my life and a lot of fear and anxiety that I was going to end up in the ER and having to call my parents and explain that I took too much mushrooms and I needed their help. Now, thankfully, I did it in a safe space. I did it in my apartment. I did it with some boys that I trusted. They were able to help me transfer it to my bed. They were able to get my fan on me and some ice on me and like cool my body down and just kind of help me, get through the spasms. And
Turned on some Finding Nemo for you.
And
exactly, dude. And I mean, it was just kind of a matter of waiting it out. And I only took 1 gram. So the doses that Austin was talking about is a tenth of that.
Yeah.
And that is significant. And you can even microdose lower than that if you're able to, measure the quantity out smaller. But
yeah,
it's
I'll say that I personally also have had the same experience you had twice experimenting with it, and it was scary. And yeah, after the second time, I definitely wouldn't try it again. But just I don't know.
no, for sure. Like
I
it's
was in like full overheat mode. My body planked, like I couldn't bend anything. I was just like straight flat, like spasms. Like yeah, it was scary.
it's very it is an illegal drug. And I'm talking like I don't think it's legal in any state thus far. I mean, I know there have been sanctions lifted allowing it to be studied, but I don't think you can legally grow and sell them. So that being said, this is all proceed with caution, and if you do decide to take them, like do your due diligence, research it, vet it out, ensure you're getting something good from a good source, and be really really careful with the amount that you take because it could definitely mess with your body in a negative way as well. We just touched on the positive stuff, but the negative side effects are pretty hardcore. So not something to take lightly.
Yeah.
And
Steve
the
said the
reason I
same.
believe that you get spazzy like that is what we were talking about earlier. It
It's messing
stimulates
with your nervous system.
system activity, and so
Yeah.
you're getting a lot of extra electrical activity throughout your body where you don't normally get it. And our bodies can't connect to our brain and process those signals, so it just translates to spastic, movement. And until
And for
that
me,
stuff is out of your
that's what
body.
causes the overheating, I think, because your muscles are literally just firing at such a like for me, my every muscle in my body was like tremoring, like
Constantly
constantly,
expanding, contracting, dude. Just like the worst,
just
gnarly,
like
dude. It was almost like cramps, but like every muscle below my level of injury. Like it was wild. And I was similar to you, dude. I planked. Like I had to get flat on my bed because like my legs were wanted to be like straight out. And like
yeah,
they were
that's what
kicking off
happened.
my foot plates, and it was just, yeah, it was
I
wild.
couldn't stay in my chair. No, yeah,
I That being said, I'm so curious about the potential of microdosing something like that and the positive benefits it might have on paralysis and the effectiveness of you know promoting healing in the nervous system, which does happen. It just is a very 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 slow process. um and yeah, I think it's unique, but I probably want to wait until it's studied more and understood a little bit more. But that's just me personally.
Yeah, no, it scared me
Uh,
on the last
Yeah,
one,
me
like
too.
legitimately. So,
how
I
do you
just
guys
uh,
like
wanted
to
to hear.
smoke weed?
I want to hear more from Austin about that.
Yeah.
yeah. Um, so
What's your
I
preferred
personally,
way of consuming cannabis if it's not edible form?
when I'm typically doing it at like in the evening before my bed, is using the bong, or even like now, I guess. But for smaller doses, I use my Stizzy vape, the same thing that Kyle was using, and I think you're using too. There we go. But yeah,
For
I love
anybody
it
that
because it's
might
so convenient.
go ahead. What was that, Kyle?
Oh, sorry. I was just saying I love the Stizzy because it's so convenient and it doesn't smell horrible. But if anything, my favorite is probably like a joint or a blunt.
I had my Stizzy here, but maybe Shawn could hold up his. For anybody that's not aware of what we're
crap.
talking about when we say Stizzy, it's a cannabis vaporizer. Now,
Oops.
there's several different kinds of cannabis vaporizers. There's flower vaporizers,
Ah.
which allow you to vape cannabis
Oh yeah,
flower
Kyle's got his.
and evaporate the THC and the cannabidiols without combusting the weed,
Oops.
meaning there is no fire involved. You use temperatures below 430 degrees and you never actually burn anything. What you're doing is you're evaporating the cannabinoids and inhaling them. Now, that is probably the healthiest on your respiratory system for consuming cannabis smoking. Now, that's not what we're talking about with the Stasies. This is actually a concentrated form of marijuana. It's called concentrate. And there's a process where I think now they use CO2 to actually extract the THC and the cannabidiols from the plant. And it ends up in almost like a resin. Um, that you
So
use an atomizer and just like a normal vaporizer to heat up and inhale. Concentrate is a more intense version of marijuana. I don't think there's any other way to put it. It's not like smoking a joint. It's not like smoking a bowl. It's not like, consuming flour. Um, even edibles, like I would say, like it can be very intense. So if you are new to smoking cannabis, do not recommend concentrates. Um, the reason it can be very useful in our situation is because it's really convenient. Hold up one of your sizzies, you guys. That is it. There is no lighter, there is no button,
all
and
you
you
have to do is
just
inhale.
literally inhale it. And it is one of the easiest, simplest ways to consume marijuana, get high. Um, so it's popular. It's popular
And even
among
for a quad,
everybody.
the little
But
cartridge thing is just magnetic, so I can bite it and pull it out.
Or they sell it all as one piece and it's a throwaway when it's out.
now here is
Or
where the due diligence comes in and where you have to do some research and understand what you're consuming. You can get, 10 to 1, 2 to 1, 20 to 1 CBD THC cartridges that, again, is a concentrated form of marijuana, but it's not going to give you an intense psychoactive effect, which, if you're not familiar with or used to, can be, a little scary and not feel great, like, honestly. So, talking to someone that has an understanding of your situation, maybe the fact that you're a beginner. There are ways to get cannabis vapes that are very low intensity, low dosage, not gonna get you wrecked or get you high. If you get what we get at Stizzy, they are pretty intense cannabis vaporizers, and they will. Uh, they're they're for the people who are more seasoned with it. If you have a higher tolerance, it doesn't affect you as intensely. But anybody will tell you stitzies can be really strong, so be really careful.
they are
And if
strong,
you
but
are,
I was
go
gonna say
ahead,
you
Shawn.
can take like fairly small, hits. Like you don't have to like inhale until your lungs can't take it anymore. You can just take a little bit if you want, you know.
You
When
don't
the
gotta
light
hit a
is on at the
blinky, man. But let me
yeah.
tell you, as someone with, not the lowest tolerance, like I don't have a very high tolerance either in comparison to a lot of people that I know. Like a little baby hit off a stizzy, like some stizzies, especially if I haven't smoked one in a while, will get me pretty high, man. And
And
like I just want to be real. Like I'm not beating around the bush. But like
no, yeah.
there's a really popular brand. It's called Dosage, and it is more like for medicinal stress relief, calming, effects. Like they are designed differently to be like what you said. You can't even take a big hit. Like it has a little chip in there, just like lets you take a little baby tiny hit. A certain dose of this that's supposed to be for a specific purpose. Um, Generally, it's for helping you sleep at night, helping helping your anxiety, helping your body chill out from pain. Um, there are lots and lots and lots of things out there that are specifically curated for individuals looking for the more medicinal effect and the less psychoactive effect of marijuana, which again can be medicinal and very beneficial for mental health. I think for some people, it is a drug. I don't mean to get too preachy. When I get high, I just get paranoid. Um, I just want people to understand what they're getting into and to approach it with caution, like anything else. Whether it's drinking, smoking, whatever it is. Be smart about
Another
it.
thing
And
that I use a thing called a pack pen, and
oh, the
I
pat.
put
Yeah,
it
that's a good
dry
one.
bud into that, and it's a vaporizer as well. Um, and that's something that I felt as a quad is doable. I'll either buy weed and I'll grind it up in a coffee grinder, or I'll buy already grounded up bud.
Shout out packs. They are a great. Um, uh, they call it. It's like a flower vape. Um, I have one. Like my family uses them. Like my dad just got a new one. Um, and they are really great. It's just more maintenance. It could be a little bit more work to grind up the weed. You might spill some. It's
But
a
that
little
is
bit more
like
messy.
really the cleanest,
It does
purest
smell
way.
more,
Yeah, I
But
agree.
yeah, it is more work. Like Tom,
but
it's a lot more work.
But I bought this
it is.
asher that has this metal spoke that goes up the middle, and I found this way to kind of grind out all the old weed that was in there, and it's not that hard. And then I'll have like my care or a friend or something help me, maintain it like every 3 months or something.
Oh
Nice.
heck yeah! Like it's really easy to have someone help you clean out. It's not something you got to do every time you use it. It's something you got to do, like Kyle said, every couple of months. Um, the part that can be a pain for some people is the grinding up the weed, getting it into the little oven that like vaporizes the stuff. That can just be especially I don't know for someone
So
like I did it. I've done it a lot. Like we got, cool grinders like the auto grinder,
I
which
was
is
gonna say
just
I'm
like
gonna
you
shout
said,
out
like a
the auto
coffee
grinder.
grinder. The auto grinder, Banana Bros. If you don't know what we're talking about, we featured them before. Go check those guys out because they make an auto mill. And you just put the weed in there, you hit a button, and it grinds it all up for you. And it's really
It's totally
awesome.
quad
And it
friendly.
goes with like a
Completely quad
Does it
joint
friendly.
roll you
roller.
guys J's too?
Yeah, it comes with like a little pre-roll. Like you just like put the cone in there. The weed literally goes into the cone. You twist it up, like you're good to go. Like it's the coolest
I've
Yeah, I
thing.
honestly
saw.
only used it into a cone twice. I just use it to grind it up a lot of the times, but like it works good. It's efficient. It's
Is it
like
called the auto?
Yeah, it's called
OTTO,
Yeah,
OTTO. And
but
the
it's
yeah.
made by
company that makes
Banana
it is
Bros.
Banana Bros. Now,
Yeah.
careful googling that because you might end up with some different kind of results. But uh,
Uh,
so I like the convenience of cannabis vaporizers. They are I don't know. It's really easy
and
for me to regulate like how much I intake. It's doesn't smell, which helps me be a little bit more respectful to my caregivers coming in and out. That's something that like I usually mention is I, do try to be respectful, especially to those that I know that don't consume marijuana, which are all of my caregivers. And that means I'm not going to have weed laying out, like in front of them and stuff. I'm not going to have my place smelling danky after like hotboxing when they come my homies, smoking a fat blunt. Like, I'm going to make sure that I'm respectful. And again, this is everybody's personal preference, but it is something unique about a lot of our situations is, we have family members or caregivers that, are coming in and helping us out. And yeah, I do think it's an important part is, being respectful about it to, those who maybe don't use it. Now if like, your family members do use it, they help you out, that's cool. It's all good. Like, if your caregivers are cool with it too, like that's the relationship you guys have, that's awesome. But I think it is something to think about, be aware of.
Yeah,
Um,
no, I was gonna mention too in the chat. Um,
Yeah, I'm liking
uh,
a couple of
they
the
mentioned,
comments.
yeah, they also just asked about if it like smelled the vape. Mentioned smoking in the hospital and if it smells and stuff. Um, and that's one thing that the vapes aren't as smelly. They are a little bit more like, especially like the Stizzy vape and stuff. It really kind of goes away and dissipates. It won't set off a smoke alarm. I think that was what they asked. I can't find the thing
that
now
being
anymore.
said, do not
And
smoke inside a hospital. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure there
Steve.
might even
Yeah,
be laws that,
I'm sure
protect
there's
against stuff
not.
like
There is.
that. There are
We're not gonna.
designated smoking areas. Like,
hey,
I don't
Shawn,
think
was there something that you blow your smoking to?
Uh, later, hip crip. What's up?
later hip
Is
crib.
there
Thanks for
something
stopping by, bud.
that you blow your smoking to?
Yeah, so that's what, and then that's the other thing. When I actually do smoke actual flower that really does smell a lot more, I use this thing, the Smoke Buddy, which is a personal air filter, and you blow smoke into it, and then smoke doesn't come out of the back end of it. Unfortunately, like there's still some smoke that comes off, which I try to trap, and like you try to get it all, so it still smells a little bit. There's no way to really get fully around it, but it helps significantly. It doesn't make the room smoky. It keeps like 98% of the smoke out of it.
Um,
It's the smell silencer for the bong.
Yeah. So there are ways
now,
around it. Like if you packed a small enough bowl to where you could smoke the entire thing with so no smoke came off of it after it was done, like every single bit of smoke went through the bong and then into your lungs, and then you made a good perfect seal and you blew it through, you could do it with no smoke leak.
but
But it's just
see,
hard to do that.
the cherry off the bowl is always
It
going to smoke
always
a little
smokes.
though, and
That's what
you
you have
can't
to
really
pack it so
get
you do
that.
the
Yeah.
entire thing. You have to leave nothing left. So it's
Plus, like
just ash and
stoners
no.
forget, people forget, like marijuana stinks, man. Just the
Oh
flower
yeah.
itself, dude. Like
Oh no,
you can
it
go to the
smells.
room
Yeah.
and smell that unless you like have don't have it sealed up in a container, that's like meant to protect against stuff like
Even in the
that.
jars that are
Even like a
pretty
mason
smell
jar,
proof,
yeah.
they still smell.
So
No
that's
way.
when having a vaporizer like this, when discretion is a necessity, when it's not in your interest to do the flower vape or to smoke like that. These can be really convenient and helpful to individuals. But again, maybe not the healthiest or the best way to you know smoke
Oh,
marijuana.
that was
It
what
can
I was
also
looking
be
for
kind of
too.
intense.
In the chat, Candace mentioned in states that aren't legal, they have fake cartridges that are dangerous. And yeah, even in California here, there's a lot of other, like, if you don't go to the legit dispensaries or you go to different places, like, there's a lot of fake cartridges out there. And
Always.
that's one thing that's the one main thing that I always go to a legitimate place for is my cartridges because I don't want a fake one. They can be dangerous. You don't know what's in them, so those you
if
want legit.
if it's not my family stuff, which it's all alleged maybe information. Might have a family
Allegedly.
member that grows marijuana that I get sometimes. But if it's not that, I do ensure that I go to a dispensary that is licensed, that the marijuana that I'm purchased has been tested by Cannasafe or a similar organization, that their business is scientifically testing this stuff to ensure that it doesn't contain pesticides, it doesn't contain chemicals, it doesn't contain um, benzodiazepines, like weird Benzenes and
There's a
shit,
lot
like
of
stuff
different
that.
sprays and yeah, there's a lot of stuff that can be on your plant that you don't want to smoke.
Yeah,
And a lot of
there's this stuff called benzenes too that can be if you extract marijuana using alcohol or butane or a less clean method than the CO2, or other like high pressure extractions and stuff, just using pressure and things like that. Benzenes are not healthy for your lungs, and they can get caught up in the concentrate too, and cannot be healthy for you. The other thing that is different about stizzies and five like I don't know what they're called, 501c vaporizers that use atomizers and use a coil to heat the stuff and vaporize it. It's more intense. It's a little bit harsher on your lungs. You can also vaporize concentrates in something like a PAX. They have, it's using outside heat to evaporate off the THC and the CBD rather than like a hot coil, like creating a higher temperature. So meaning like it can just be hard on your respiratory system for quadriplegic, for individuals that already have respiratory stuff. It's just something to be really, considerate of, and how it makes you feel. Um, there are methods to vaporize concentrates too that aren't as intense, that are lower temperature and a lot easier on your respiratory system. Just stuff to
and yeah,
consider.
The
breathing
PAX,
is important
PAX
too.
pen.
Like
PAX
yeah, you
3,
want to
PAX Pen.
yeah.
There's all kinds of low temperature concentrate vaporizers out there that are designed specifically like I'm talking about. Now everyone's asking, Tom, why do you use the Stizzy? I don't know.
It's just convenient, honestly. That's one of the reasons why they're just easy and convenient.
Convenient.
Renee asked if we smoke for creativity. If anybody, and
Heck yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I'm that creative of a person, but sometimes before I do editing or Photoshop and stuff like that, when I'm working on the computer, I do like to smoke a little bit, especially for a long edit. Like if I'm sitting here trying to edit a video for a few hours, like definitely
If
helps.
I have to do math, never.
Never.
If I have to do any kind of arithmetic, any kind of logical thinking, you can argue like programming, is definitely a sober task. Unless I'm just trying to do some funny stuff that's not serious. But when it comes to writing, drawing, painting, whatever it may be, heck yeah, I think cannabis can be uh, fun stimuli for that creativity that may be difficult for some people to access.
What
what
about you, Kyle? Any
about you,
creativity
Kyle?
smoking?
Yeah, I mean, I like going out on like bike rides and feeling a little bit from the edibles and just kind of cruising around. Or I mean, probably the best for me is go going to bed before at the end of the night, just getting comfy in your bed and either read a book or watch some movies or something. I love that.
Definitely, that's like one of the
That's my
like
yeah.
most common times. Like I'll use marijuana regularly is like at night before I lay down and go to bed. It there on at the end of the day, my body's usually tense, tight, and hurting, and it really does help me, relax. My legs can kind of straighten out, chill out. Like buy me 2 or 3 hours without muscle spasms. So I can hopefully get a couple good hours of REM sleep in before they start going crazy and wake me up again.
See, that's why I
But
Yeah,
eat the
the
edible
store.
because I do the smoking that gets me through those first few hours, and then when that's wearing off, the edible's kicking in full strength, and it takes me through the night. Bam.
Yeah,
see,
'cause
dude,
I'm pretty
I,
sore by the end of the day. So not stretching out in bed and smoking a bowl, that's a great feeling.
I I'm an early bird, and I'm really afraid of like taking edibles at night. Like I love waking up at like 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, like getting my day started, like with the sun coming up and stuff. But that like I have had experiences that with edibles. Like if I take it at night, like I'll be waking up at like 9, 10 o'clock, like all groggy, like still feeling high from the night before. I'm like, oh, this is like more like a hangover or something. Like this is why like I do cannabis instead of alcohol, is because like I'm trying to avoid stuff like that. But again, this is where like dosing it correctly comes in. Like obviously in those instances I've taken too much and like it's been a prolonged high and I'm
Oh
still
yeah,
feeling it when I'm waking up. But that is just the risk with edibles. So
yeah. I still want to be able to function. I just want the soreness to go away. So
yeah, for sure.
and it's weird. It doesn't take away the whole pain, but it definitely dulls it out, and it's better than taking something way more powerful. So
Yeah.
I just wish it was a little cheaper.
Well,
So
it is.
yeah,
You can grow it yourself now. It is very reasonable to. I'm sorry, you guys.
yeah,
Getting
that
a
would save a
phone
lot of
call.
money. Yeah, that's one thing. So like I said, I always go to the shops to get my vape stizzies and stuff, the legit shops. But I have some other resources where I go more direct from the source to get other stuff, just because it's too. I just can't afford to not do that. I could never afford to buy everything at a regular dispensary.
Um,
Especially the edibles. The edibles would cost me so much to get 50 milligrams or close to that a dose a night would cost me like so much money. Like,
I go for the deals.
yeah, dude. I luckily I know some people in the industry, so
yeah.
Plus, it being 420 tomorrow, I'm pretty sure most dispensaries will have some type of
oh, there's
deals
gonna
going
be
on.
crazy deals going on tomorrow. Yeah, I've been getting emails and texts and stuff for the delivery services that I've tried before. Everybody's like, "Yo, deals, 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 deals." So if anybody wants to try it, tomorrow is the day.
Oh yeah. Well,
uh,
you go
uh,
in the first time and get something like to try out, see if it's for you maybe. But I would always say be careful. Where you get it. It is expensive, but generally that's because it's tested and vetted. Like I do get some stuff that's not from a dispensary, but like I know, and I'm pretty sure that's Sean's situation. Like we just happen to know someone that grows it, and like know that they like do their
and I,
do their stuff well, and like it's good
yep.
stuff, and like um. I'm lucky I don't even got to pay for it,
See,
but
I was able to get a very wholesale friendly deal. So like
yeah,
from somebody, and I know
um,
it's completely clean. I know it can be 100% lab tested. It'll pass anything like anything else will at the dispensaries. So like
there there are even
um,
compassionate patient programs that you can
there
sign
are.
up for if you are chronically disabled
That's
to
a
get cannabis for free monthly, sent to you from
so
a dispensary, delivered to you. There are lots of options if you cannot afford it, but you can also, if you got a green thumb and you got a garden, it is not difficult to grow, and it is legal to grow in California and legal states. As long as you're not selling it or producing it in mass quantity. Um, so that's something to consider too. But that is a process. You got to cut it and dry it, and, store it.
yeah.
That
So if
can
you don't know
be
what you're
more
doing, it
work.
can be a process. But I would like to try to do that at some point. But yeah. Um but yeah, guys. What else?
I think we pretty
Now,
much touched on a lot of the points we wanted to touch on. We didn't want this to just be like getting baked, getting goofy episode. We wanted to hopefully pass along
whoops.
some
Why did that
meaningful
stretch like that?
information. The other thing that we can maybe talk about is just like accessibility with smoking. We did mention the stizzy. This is a accessible smoking utility item. I would argue for quadriplegic because it's realistic to buy the packaging, pop the magnetic thing together, and hit it. And like I feel like most quads I know could do that.
Yeah.
Um,
No, the bong is definitely advanced quad technique. I wouldn't start there if I were you. where I started, if everybody wants to know, if it's curious, is just with a chillum, like a straight pipe, so no carb. It's just basically like a cigarette glass thing, and then I could pack that, hold it in my mouth, and then do two hands, and I can light a lighter up here.
Yeah.
Um,
I would
but
say joints can be a good starting point too. Lighters can be tricky. My
joints are hard
solution
just
to that,
because they're lit and they're hard for me to like deal with in between. So that's why with the chillum, it goes out in between. Like the problem is you have to relight every time. So the lighter's
yeah.
hard.
The
Pros
other
and
beautiful
cons.
thing about this is it can't burn you. If you drop it on your lap, it's not going to burn
Yes.
your lap or anything like that. If a cherry off a J falls on your lap, it could burn you. If you're trying to light it with a Bic lighter or a Zippo or something, and you slip your quad hands, trip up, you could burn the crap out of yourself. There are risks associated with that stuff.
Dude,
Practice, like, has made me able to use a lighter. Um,
another
I burned
scariest
myself
story
along the way a
is
couple times.
one
Go
of our
ahead.
quad friends who was in the chat. I don't know if he's still in here. Ken, who's been on the show, has a vaporizer that's touch sensitive. So all you had to do is he had to put his finger on it and you could hit it. It wasn't like these where you inhale. And he fell asleep with it and it rolled to the touch part onto his belly and it burnt a hole into his stomach where he had to have like surgery and like a skin graft, like fully, like it burnt him bad. Like,
Sure.
so things that might sound accessible and easy, like be careful. There's be cautious.
There are risks. Make sure you don't fall
Yeah,
asleep on any electronic device, be it vaporizer or otherwise. Sounds
even a
like you're
heating
setting
blanket. I
yourself up
mean,
for. Yeah.
And weed makes you tired. So
oh man,
And there are lots of accessible tools for flower vapes, and just flower in general. Like grinders, I would say is probably the most difficult part of preparing marijuana. But there are electric grinders that are really easy to use, that make the process simple, and like usually cleaner and a lot more manageable for someone in our situation. And then yeah, I mean, you always ask for help too. You know, get one of your people that's cool with it to help you out. If that's what it
yeah.
comes down to. I started the first time I smoked like weed was like meaningfully smoked weed is like my buddy sat there and held the pipe for me and did the whole lighter and everything for me, and I just inhaled. He did the carbon stuff and like it was all good. Um, but like learning how to do it on my own and stuff just came through time and ingenuity and practice. So get
Yeah.
out there and practice smoking some weed. I'm just kidding.
Kyle, were you
tomorrow's
you
a
were
great day to
smoking before
practice.
your injury, right? You were a smoker before you got hurt.
You talking to me?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you afterwards, did you start immediately?
No. No.
Oh,
I
okay.
probably waited like 3 months or so
Okay.
because I was still hospitalized, and then I didn't try until I went home,
All right. Yeah. Yeah.
and it and I was right about to run out of my uh, oxy, and I didn't want to have to refill that, so I wanted to try cannabis again, and it ended up benefiting me even better, and I wasn't all backed up, and that's team life, but we go through all of it, or we all go through it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well,
Yeah, because
that
it
is
Uh,
was
one of the
it
best
really helped me out.
things about cannabis is like, it can be very effective for pain management, without suffering the really troubling side effects of narcotics, which is severe constipation usually. And that can be
that's
really
one of the
tough
things
for a
I.
quadriplegic.
That's why I hate them. Yeah.
It's like that's probably like our biggest struggle is like the whole digestive tract and maybe the slow metabolism that's already there, or the slow peristalsis. But if you block yourself up like that, it can be really hard. Like I know from personal experience and from talking to a lot of other quads. And again, I've never taken narcotics, but I've just struggled with tummy issues all my life.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the oxys made me feel like I was on cloud 10, and I needed to feel my emotions, and I needed to feel my injury. I had to go through it, and being on the oxys, I was floating, you know, and so the
Yeah.
cannabis kind of helped me get off of that, and then you know it's great.
Well,
Yeah,
lack of a
bro.
better term, that's dope, bro. Um, I grew up around cannabis. Both my parents have used cannabis. All my life, and their friends used it, and it wasn't something that was hidden. It was something that was like just treated like very similar to alcohol. It was like something that adults could decide to do, and maybe did sometimes at the end of the day, chill it out, whatever. Like a glass of wine, like a cold beer at the end of the day, and that's like kind of how we were exposed to it, or how I was exposed to it as a kid. It wasn't until I was an adult that I learned, like, oh snap, weed's illegal. That's what that stuff is. But at that time, it had been kind of very like desensitized to me. Like I had a very good understanding of what it was, and like. Uh, but that being said, I tried smoking weed one time when I was like 16 at the house to myself for a day. Curiosity got the better of me. I like made a little makeshift pipe out of a metal pen that I had, and stole some of my parents' weed and smoked in the backyard. And I ate a dozen cookies. By the time my mom got home, she's like, "Did you eat all those cookies?" I was like, "Yep, yep, I did." But after that, I don't know. It made me cough. It like had the like I choked. I choked and got real scared for a minute before I got high. Put on the Discovery Channel and ate a bunch of cookies. But I really didn't like the way that it made my chest feel. And that may be because I was smoking it out of this little makeshift pen pipe I had made for myself. Like
It was
it was
probably
also
so
the first
hot.
time I was smoking marijuana. So I think that was, it's always really intense the first time you do it. And when I say intense, intense on your lungs. Like it is not a great feeling. It'll make you cough. It like was really intense. Um, I didn't smoke again until I was 21 years old, and I moved out and I was on my own. And I did it with a buddy. Like we were just hanging, listening to some music. Broke out his pipe. He was like, "You want to hit this, man?" I was like, "Heck yeah!" Like I'll give it a try. And it was cool. Like I really enjoyed the high. Like I really enjoyed the feeling. Like it was a good time. Um, I didn't. I wasn't even thinking or considering the possible medicinal effect of marijuana at that time. To be honest, I was just a college kid smoking weed with my homies. That came a little bit later. But also, that's where I started to like research and study and understand what this actually was a little bit more. I already had a lot of knowledge too, just by nature of like my upbringing, but also educating myself on it was probably the best thing I could do because it helped me research the healthiest and like best ways for me to consume it, which was I got a flower vape. It wasn't a PAX. It was this brand called Da Vinci, and it's like glass and ceramic, so there's no metal. It was all like very clean and healthy. Um, because I don't know, like my respiratory system is something that I still concerned about and worried about compromising in a significant way as I progress forward. Now, I don't really do the flower vaping too much anymore because my tolerance has increased and just doesn't really affect me in the way that uh, you know is beneficial to me. Like if I'm being quite honest, um, that can be remedied. I could just take a break for a month and go back to my Paxi and be good to go. Stop using these stizzies and stuff. Just something like I think I'd probably need to do consider. But
Yeah,
that's the tough thing about marijuana.
I'm sure if you stopped like in the morning and used only your packs pen at night, you'd feel that. You'd feel
No,
great.
no, absolutely. If I just stopped using the stizzies and like went back to the packs or something like that, like I'm sure I would probably notice like a effect pretty um immediately. It's just like the 20 or 30-minute prep time for my packs is tough nowadays. No, seriously, like when I'm
Yeah.
hurting and like through four
That's a long
o'clock rolls
time,
around
man.
and like my wrists are on fire and like I'm like my shoulders and my neck are tight and I'm hurting and like I'm struggling. It's a hard part of my day. Um,
Right.
that can be tough, man. It can be like a real, a real chore. The convenience of something like the stizzy is just it's
Yeah.
hard to pass up.
Yeah.
Easy.
But
Yeah, man.
in
If
any
Uh,
all
event, we
that
could
you
him and
had,
haw.
if all that you had, that 30 minutes is worth it.
No, you're right, man. You're right. And like, it also helps you, you know, not use too much of it. Like these convenient forms of it can be a little slippery slope. Um, like no, but it can because it can be really easy to get really high or maybe just like hit it too much or too often if you don't have the self control. Um, and that can be tough for some people. Like it's just reality of the human condition. Now, having that step where you got to spend 20 or 30 minutes grinding the stuff up and getting your packs ready, it could be beneficial for someone in that situation because, it's just having it less convenient, you know, may be a better situation for you. But that all comes down to the individual self control, how you intend to use it, and, the way you use it. There's lots of, healthy, safe ways to um, vaporize, um, and do it the right way. And I'm not saying any of us are doing it the wrong way either. It's just we're a little bit maybe heavier stoners than the average cat. At least me and Shawnee boy.
I
And
guess then your
yes,
average
that is my
daily.
mom in the chat. I was sitting here talking about all this stuff in front of my mom and dad. God only knows what other members of my family are watching. Oh gosh, no, it's all good. I love you guys. I
Uh,
really love the support from the fam, and one of the things that I really appreciate too is the education my parents gave me. About marijuana and alcohol and drugs in general. In my adolescence, which helped me. I feel like have a healthy you know safe, positive mindset towards this stuff. And, um, you know, at the end of the day, to kind of sum this all up, because we do got to wrap it up, um, cannabis, I think, is a great benefit and, positive benefits in my life, in my lifestyle. And I, um, do my best to educate myself and understand what it is I'm using and how I'm using it. And I would really urge anybody out there that does decide to use cannabis in any way, shape, or form to do the same. I think it's in your best interest.
yeah, for sure. And I know Peter was mentioning that he might be trying it sometime. I don't know. I know with the VA you're not supposed to, but uh, I don't know. If you're able to, I think
Yeah, man. I mean, if
experiment
they're gonna
away.
drug test you
He's
on
got.
anything, and you
Dang it.
can, just kind of experiment with yourself, heck yeah. Peter, if you need any more information, bro, I'm your guy, man. Please feel free to shoot me a message or message Shawn. We'll definitely give you some good recommendations on starting points, stuff that you can find where you're at in
And
Illinois too.
And I was going to say, quick shout out to all our people out in Illinois. We are going to be in Chicago for the Abilities Expo in two
Coming
months
up.
in June. So, like book your travel. Let's
Huh.
go. We're going to be there all weekend.
Yeah, man. Chi-town,
uh,
baby.
and
It's
then,
gonna be
so let's
great.
get real
Also,
quick for wrapping up the show. You want to shout out sponsors real quick? I've been doing it the last couple weeks, and
yeah,
we
no,
forgot.
definitely.
I hope they're okay with being
Um,
associated with our high
I
show,
know.
but they,
I was gonna try to ask you low key, but we're just gonna go for it. Um, Mobility professionals and urology professionals. Mobility Pros is a rehabilitation equipment company here in Southern California that will go above and beyond to meet your mobility needs, whatever they may be, and get you what you need in terms of rehab equipment following your injury. They really do go above and beyond, understanding your situation, having trained professionals, and working with your insurance company to make the process uh, the way it should be, get you the right stuff that you need, and make it as simple as easy as possible. And their sister company, Urology Professionals, is a urological supply company. They, do catheter supplies, things like that, and they are national, meaning anywhere you are in the US of A. If you are looking for a new catheter supply company, a group of individuals that understands the needs of spinal cord injured people, the kinds of supplies that we need, the system involved in getting us what we need at as little to no cost as possible. They are your people. So go give a shout out to urology professionals. Let them know we sent you because they support the show. They support us. So let's go show them some love and support them back.
Heck yeah, dude. Yeah, they're awesome. We definitely appreciate our sponsors, and yeah, sorry about the Stone show.
Hey, I hope they did their due diligence and understand, the kind of show we're at. We're not promoting anything dangerous or unhealthy. You know, it can be definitely unhealthy depending on how you use
Yeah,
it,
no, I
but
think we've been
so can
good about.
narcotics and so can, pretty much any pharmaceutical drug. So
Yeah, I think we've made sure everybody has been like kind of safe and all that.
make sure if you haven't
Good,
liked the video,
cautious.
please do so. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. Hit that little notification bell. Get notified of our shows. We got an awesome lady show coming up this Thursday. They're going to be doing the Ladies 420 celebration. We're going to have
And
Brianna, the Chi-Town Twins in the building, some of our regulars
Jessica,
hanging.
and
So,
it's actually because they've been doing each of their stories. So Maya's gonna start with her story, because she has like a super powerful story. But Maya also is full blown stoner and down for the 420 celebration. So that's
nice.
what it's pretty much gonna turn into a smoke fest as well. So check
Awesome.
out
Well,
that on Thursday,
and
you
be sure to
guys.
check it out. It's an amazing show. And big thank you to the main man, Kyle, who's going to be
Yeah,
taking a
Kyle,
trip
thanks for
out to
coming on,
the
bro.
ranch soon because we're going to talk about it
Thanks for
right
having
now.
me, guys, and happy 420.
I
Happy
know, man. Yeah,
420,
happy
man.
420.
We really appreciate you coming on and sharing your perspective, with cannabis before and after your injury, how it helps you and how you use it, man. You are an awesome guy and, amazing member of the community, amazing person in general. Really appreciate you taking the time to be on here and hang with us.
I
Thank you
wanted to
very
ask
much.
Austin if you remembered meeting you at the expo a couple years ago, just because of how
Bro,
much you've changed in that 2 years. Like Kyle's like development, like and just like, bro, like yeah, you're just like a beast now, man. But
thank you very much. Will you guys be at the festival at the end of this month?
yes, I will be there at
Uh,
least one of the days, but I'm hoping to try both. I'm just not sure if I can stay. I don't know. Maybe if I
yeah,
split a
man,
room with somebody.
we're gonna do the sports fest for sure. But also, after we get off the live, I want to talk to you about some dates to plan a weekend up to kick it with the fam, like we talked about, dude. We want to have you out of the ranch for a couple days, chill out, hang out, eat some good food, listen to some reggae music.
Yeah,
For
I would love that.
sure, man.
Heck yeah, guys. All right, well, guys, thanks. We'll wrap it up then. So yeah, like I said, be on for Thursday, Maya's story and smoke out with the ladies. So check that out, and then we'll be back next week. And yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. Live to roll, subscribe, like everything.
Let's roll,
Bam.
everybody.